Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Well, today I got something pretty unique to take a look at. This is a really large 1/8 scale. Yes, you heard me right, 1/8 scale, as you can tell on my hand. Rock crawler by DEERC. This is a DE60. This is a dual motor. There's a motor here on both of my thumbs. It is 4-wheel drive. It's just friction shocks. This is more of a beginner's rock crawler, obviously, but it's meant, for someone who wants a really large one. But aside from the two motors, it is just a all or nothing steering. There's a dial here, so for your steering trim, so there's no proportional steering. Same with the throttle, it's all or nothing. But again, it's sort of be expected, and this is meant to be something to crawl around, do some off-roading. It doesn't really need to have super precise steering because this is not something you're going to be going out to do competitive rock climbing with. But again, it's pretty darn cool. Now, let me show you the box and the batteries and stuff, and then we'll get it out here in the backyard and drive it around. So let me put down the car. So you see it comes in this really big box. It mentioned a 1/8 scale, built-in shocks, of course, all terrain. Here they say 4-wheel drive. It is 2.4 gigahertz, despite the fact it's a very basic non-proportional controller. And it does have a metal surface, which I'll show you guys again here. It has this, it actually is a metal body on it, which is actually pretty nice. So we'll take it out here and drive here in just a moment. Let me show you the controller is very small. So if you're an adult, I don't have the biggest fingers, so for me it's okay. But if you have really big fingers or thumbs or fingers as an adult, this is not going to work very well for you. But this is meant for a kid, and this will be no problem for a kid or a teenager. As you guys can probably hear here, when I do this, you just have the clicking. That's just all or nothing. You'll hear the steering motor go as that motor is just steering and continuing to try to steer. And again, it's not proportional. Of course, your throttle and your reverse. And here is your on and off switch, a little bitty switch on the side. They give you an instruction manual. It's very small, but again, this vehicle is very basic. And they give you a USB charging cable with the light that goes all solid green when it's done charging the battery. And a Phillips screwdriver, because you do have to attach this if you want to. You don't have to, but you can attach the spare wheel, which I did because I think it makes it look cooler. But of course, you're adding some weight to the vehicle as well, but that won't make a whole lot of difference. But you do have to put a screw through this here into this little bracket that attaches to the rear of the car. Let me show you guys the battery. It uses a 2S lithium-ion pack that it charges up. This is a 1200 milliamp 2S 7.4 volt. As you can see, it has no balance plug. It uses one of those proprietary style, just little, 2-pin black connectors that you see in some of these toy grade stuff. It's fine for this, but you can't really charge this on a hobby grade. You have to use that USB. And again, you can't use a balance plug on, some chargers can charge through that. And so you're going to end up with not the best balanced charge, but I think for this vehicle, it's fine. You do see that occasionally on these, but it's not that common. So anyway, if you're interested in this vehicle, I'll put a purchase link down in the video description, along with any coupons that I might have. I'll try to put it in the pinned comments as well. If you're looking for a gift for a younger kid, I think this is probably going to be pretty good, but we will know for certain once we get done driving this around out back and seeing what kind of power and stuff it has. But yeah, I don't remember the price offhand. DEERC was kind enough to send this out, so I didn't actually have to pay for this, of course, but I'll put a purchase link down in the video description for you guys if you would want to pick this up. So let me go ahead and we'll pause the video, go out back by the cemetery there, and I'll crawl it up over some of the hills and up to the little rock lane. It gives us a better idea on its climbing power, and then we'll get an idea if this is something we want to recommend or not. So we'll be right back, guys, and we'll get to that drive review. All right, guys, let's take it around and drive it on the rock lane back here. Before I proceed, it was probably pretty obvious, but I didn't actually probably mention it. This does come with two of those lithium-ion batteries. Of course, I have one already installed in here, and then you saw me holding up the other one. So just be mindful, you do get two batteries, which is pretty nice. When you turn this guy on, it makes a little car unlock door sound. That's the only thing it really does. It doesn't have any in terms of sounds. There's no lights. It would have been nice if they had put some LED lights on this, but you could certainly add some LED lights to this quite easily with a little external power source of some sort if you wanted to. So we'll take it through some puddles here, and then down there by that second pole, there's a pretty good area where I usually, it's away from this, tombstones and stuff. I usually just drive cars. That's a ramp. We can see how it climbs up that, embankment down there. So let's go ahead and turn it on, and we'll see if we hear that sound. There's a little car door unlock sound. We'll go ahead and get it bound, and you guys hear the steering here. You can see it's going. Let's go ahead and put it down. It is a little bit quicker than I thought, but it's certainly not fast. Let's go ahead and put it down and back up. And I say quicker, that's not exactly fast, but remember, this is just a rock crawler, so it's not gonna be very quick. Let's turn it around here and see how it goes to this puddle here. Oh, that's pretty cool. Again, I think this was at like ages 8 and up, so obviously at 8 to 10-year-old, this is going to be awesome. Get through this puddle here. Whoa! Now they don't really say whether this is waterproof or not, but a little splash of water like this is not going to hurt a vehicle. If it does, then we have a problem. But you definitely do not want to submerge this. I would not take it to any water deeper than that. The brush motors are not going to be hurt by some water, but you know, you could short out some electronics that are not sealed, because obviously this is not designed to be submerged in water. But all these cars should be splash proof. Little water's not going to hurt them. I want to see how this guy does. Let's take it up here and see how it does to this grass. And that's kind of bogging out. Now this is some really thick grass. It was just recently cut, so I can see where this is going to be a problem. But we'll see if we can work it. That's what these crawlers are kind of meant for. Find the right angle. And this is not so much an issue, but in my opinion, with the, obviously that's not much of a incline. It's how thick that grass is. Despite being 4-wheel drive, it is struggling. So I'm just going to grab it here. This is very, very thick. I say grass, it's more weeds than anything. But this is obviously meant to go in dirt, rocks like this. But it's going to struggle in some high. This is not cut very short. Really high, thick grass like that, and weeds. But hopefully we can get right here is where I like to drive, where this used to be a really big tree here. And let's see how it does right here. Obviously we can't run, this is not going to be able to something we can try as a ramp. I just want to see how it does climbing it. And it makes it up. It did. I'd say it almost struggled there a little bit. Again, this is just dual, little brushed motor powered. Ugh. Good thing you got 4-wheel drive. If this was just rear-wheel drive, it may not have the extra traction that the front wheels are pulling. So I think the 4-wheel drive helps it, even though it's going to slow it down a hair. Let's kind of go at an angle and see how it does. Yeah. I figured it would have no problem. Well, I didn't say it had no problem. It's not perfect, but I figured we'd be able to make it up this because this is rather short. You can see when I take the mowers along here, it's not really tall. If this were a thicker grass, I think it would get, it'd be a little bit difficult for it to make it. Despite the fact that it does have good clearance at this size, you can see it's, you know, the lowest to the ground is the front and rear axles there. Plenty of clearance in the underneath the middle of the car. Ugh. Now as this battery starts to get lower voltage and you get close to that low voltage cutoff, which all these cars do, and you get down, you know, to save the battery from being damaged, they will cut off, because these, as you get down, you know, below 3.5 volts or something per cell, so somewhere down below 7 volts, these vehicles are going to cut off, because as you get them really low, it will damage these lithium ions and these LiPo batteries, which are almost the same thing. What I'm getting is, as it gets lower, it's going to affect its power some, and I can see as it's getting close to the low battery, it's going to probably struggle. It may not make it up something like this. Yeah, it makes it up that, and that was sort of its litmus test for me. If it couldn't make it up that hill, then I was going to not be able to recommend it, because it's got to be able to climb something, or it sort of takes away from the whole idea of being a rock crawler or a rock climber. Now they don't actually use that word on the box; they just call it like an off-road vehicle. But this is basically a rock crawler. Now some of the rock crawlers do have front and rear steering, which helps out for maneuvering around rocks and stuff, and this does not have that, of course. But all those other rock crawlers that I had in this toy class, aside from the fact that they did have the front and rear steering, had the dual brush motor gearboxes. So the front and the rear little brush motors powering both gearboxes. Nothing fancy, there's no differentials or anything. It's just a straight shaft through there and a gear onto the motor. But yeah, I would have to recommend. I'm going to recommend this because I think it, you know, it presses all the buttons for me as long as the price is reasonable. Again, I don't know the price. You know, if this is going to be $150 or something, then no. And I hope it's not that much. But I mean, it is big, and that's going to have to be taken into account on the cost, just the whole total size and the amount of material required to produce this. But this is going to be something that you're not going to probably be interested in if you're an adult, unless it's your first RC. You want something big like this. You know, a lot of people, as you get older, especially, lots of people like the really large vehicles, and you might want a 1/8 scale, but you don't want to break the bank. Well, it is very difficult to find 1/8 scale RC that's even reasonably, you know, they're almost always really expensive. So that might be the one exception. Otherwise, you know, it's probably going to be something you're gonna buy a 8 to 12-year-old, someone in that second grade, third grade to, you know, 6th, 7th grade maybe. Might be a good birthday present. Obviously, you know, it's a long ways away from Christmas now, but you know, as a present, this is going to be a pretty nice little gift, as long as you have realistic expectations and the kid is not someone who's hardcore into the hobby. If they're just someone who's just wanting to get into RC, I think this is just fine. And you can drive this around your house, being that inside your house, being that it's not super fast. You know, set up an obstacle course and race it around the hardwood floors if you got them, or linoleum and around. All right, carpet's fine too. It's not going to leave any marks on the carpet. You know, drive it around the tables and make a little, maybe have some objects that are low to the ground that it could try to crawl over. You know, like you know, a pile of paper plates. I don't know. I'm trying to think of something that you could certainly do that inside the house when the weather's not so nice out, and I think a kid would have a lot of fun with that. Maybe if you had a couple vehicles like this, you could obviously have an obstacle course and see who can finish it first. And that's what this is really meant to be. This is not a speed demon, not really meant to be a racing vehicle. And you can certainly hear that. I kind of like, you hear those motors, and you can hear the steering, and it almost sounds like a motorcycle sound. It may not be audible in the video here, but I can certainly hear it. I kind of like that little effect that it adds to the vehicle, a little more realism with that motor sound. You can kind of hear it right there. And I don't think that is an actual sound effect. Let me hold it up and do it. I think that's just the motors, but I thought that was the steering doing that, but it's just that roar. I think it's just the motors. I don't think that's an actual sound effect, but it might be, because it has that doot-doot car on lock sound, which obviously means that there is a speaker inside. So it could be that they do have that. Actually, I think that may be, now that I'm listening to it more. It's just not very loud, so it's not something you're going to pick up on very far away, and it's kind of windy today. I think that actually is like a motor engine sound. But again, it could just be those electric motors doing that. It's just not very loud. But I think that's what that is, and it makes sense. There is a speaker in there that does the door unlock sound. So, all right, guys, I think that wraps up the driver view here. Not much else I can show you guys. It seemed to do okay. It went through water, no problems. Can climb up, you know, probably a 40-degree incline or so, as long as it's not thick grass. just fine. It is going to struggle in the taller grass. And yeah, I think this would make a perfect RC for someone just getting into the hobby, as long as you get a good price on it. Usually DRC's got some coupons on the website, on Amazon, of course, where it's being sold, where you can clip it. I can't say for certain, but most likely there'll be that. So if they do have that, make sure you do clip that before you purchase it. And yeah, guys, that should wrap up the video. So if you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing. While you're at it, click that bell. That way you're notified every time I do upload a new video. And as always, guys, have a wonderful day.
The power of the dark side.